Imagine a soldier standing at the icy heights of Ladakh. The winds howling, oxygen thin, and supplies delayed for weeks because the roads are treacherous and the weather unforgiving. That soldier waits not just for food and clothing, but for the assurance that the nation stands firmly behind him. Now imagine that instead of waiting endlessly, a train line connects him to the heart of India, carrying food, medicine, weapons, and warmth. That single train becomes more than just a mode of transport. It becomes a lifeline, a symbol of sovereignty, and a testament to a nation's determination. This is what India is trying to achieve with its latest bold step: a $3.4 billion investment to build new railway lines near the China border. On paper, it sounds like an infrastructure project, but in reality, it is far more. It is a strategic message, a social lifeline, and a geopolitical game changer. To understand why this project is monumental, we need to step back in time. The history of the India-China border is written in the harsh terrain of the Himalayas. In 1962, India faced one of its most difficult wars. Not only because of the enemy's strength, but also because of our own logistical weakness. Supplies moved slowly, reinforcements struggled to arrive, and infrastructure was inadequate to support sustained military operations. That war etched a lesson into India's collective memory. No matter how brave your soldiers, without strong supply lines, without infrastructure, victory is elusive. Decades passed, but the terrain remained a challenge. While China invested heavily in border infrastructure, building highways, tunnels, and even high-speed railways right up to Tibet, India was far more cautious. Concerns about ecological balance, financial costs, and political hesitations slowed our progress. Yet in recent years, especially after the Doklam standoff in 2017 and the tragic clashes at Galwan in 2020, India has realized that the cost of delay is too high. The Himalayas are not just mountains, they are front lines, and front lines demand speed, resilience, and connectivity. So, what exactly is this project? The government of India has sanctioned a $3.4 billion push to build new railway lines in states like Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, and Ladakh. These are not ordinary projects. You're talking about engineering feats at altitudes where human beings struggle to breathe, where winters freeze, steel, and where the soil shifts with every tremor. These railway lines will complement existing road infrastructure, creating a dual-layered defense and connectivity mechanism. Roads provide tactical mobility for lighter transport and local connectivity, while railways carry heavy loads, artillery, tanks, fuel, bulk supplies, a scale no convoy of trucks can match. The symbolism here is as important as the utility. Railways in these regions are statements of intent. India will not leave its borderlands disconnected, nor will it allow its soldiers and citizens to remain cut off from the mainstream. Think about the transformation this means for border communities. For decades, villages in Arunachal or Ladakh have been isolated. A trip to the nearest town could take days. Healthcare facilities were limited, education opportunities scarce, and many young people migrated away because survival in such isolation was hard. When railway lines reach these villages, they don't just bring steel and speed, they bring hope. A student from Tawang can dream of studying in Delhi without feeling like the capital is a distant galaxy. A farmer can sell his produce beyond local markets. A tourist can travel with ease to the serene valleys of the Northeast. Infrastructure is not just about bricks and mortar. It is about weaving people into the larger national fabric. But let us not underestimate the military dimension. For the Indian Army, these railway lines are game changers. The ability to move battalions rapidly from the plains into forward areas can tilt the balance in any standoff. Supplies of ammunition, rations, and medical aid will flow faster. In the unforgiving high altitudes where every hour of delay can cost lives, speed is survival. Consider a hypothetical situation. If tensions flare up tomorrow along the line of actual control, India's ability to mobilize, and sustained forces will no longer depend only on narrow roads vulnerable to landslides and weather disruptions. Instead, a robust railway network will ensure uninterrupted logistics. This is deterrence in action, not by threatening the adversary, but by making sure that if conflict arises, we are never caught unprepared. Now, when we compare India's infrastructure with that of China, the urgency becomes clearer. China has already built the Qinghai-Tibet Railway, a marvel of engineering that connects mainland China directly to Lhasa and beyond. They have high-speed rail reaching altitudes that were once thought impossible. Their highways and airstrips near the Indian border allow rapid mobilization. India, by contrast, has historically lagged behind. But with this $3.4 billion commitment, we are closing the gap. It's not just about matching China tit for tat. It's about ensuring that our sovereignty cannot be undermined simply because of logistical inferiority. Infrastructure is power, and in the 21st century, steel tracks and concrete roads are as important as missiles and aircraft. Beyond strategy and defense, there is also a strong economic logic. Construction itself will generate thousands of jobs. Engineers, laborers, suppliers will find opportunities. Once complete, the railways will unlock tourism potential in some of the most beautiful but inaccessible parts of India. Imagine more tourists traveling to Ladakh, not just by flight but by scenic train journeys. Imagine the Northeast becoming a hub of ecotourism, cultural exchange, and trade. Local markets will thrive, handicrafts will find bigger buyers, and hospitality businesses will flourish. And remember, border economies often double up as buffers of security. When local communities feel connected and prosperous, they are less vulnerable to propaganda or infiltration. In that sense, economic development strengthens national security just as much as military readiness. Of course, such mega projects come with challenges. The Himalayas are ecologically fragile. Building railways at high altitude involves tunneling through mountains, altering landscapes, and dealing with unpredictable weather. Critics argue that such construction could trigger landslides, threaten biodiversity, and disturb delicate ecosystems. These concerns are valid and must be addressed with advanced technology, strict environmental safeguards, and community participation. Yet one must also weigh the costs of inaction. If we delay forever in the name of ecology, we leave our borders exposed and our people disconnected. The task is not to choose between environment and security, but to balance both with wisdom. There are also financial risks. Mega infrastructure projects in India often run into delays and cost overruns. The $3.4 billion budget may rise, and skeptics will ask whether the money could have been better spent elsewhere on education, healthcare, or poverty alleviation. But this is not an either-or situation. Strong borders enable strong economies. Without security, development elsewhere becomes vulnerable. Moreover, infrastructure spending creates a multiplier effect, generates jobs, boosts consumption, and builds long-term assets. In that sense, this investment is not a drain but a catalyst. Geopolitically, this move sends a powerful message to the world. To China, it signals that India will not remain passive. To our allies and partners, it shows that India is serious about defending its sovereignty. To our neighbors in South Asia, it underlines that India is ready to invest in hard infrastructure, not just rhetoric. And to our own citizens, it is a promise that no matter how remote your village, you are part of this nation's destiny. This is especially important in regions where people sometimes feel neglected. A railway line tells them you are not forgotten, you are connected. You belong. Let us also not ignore the symbolic resonance. Railways have always been more than transport in India. From the freedom struggle days, when trains carried ideas and revolutionaries across the subcontinent, to the post-independence era when railways symbolized unity, steel tracks have always been part of our national story. Extending them to the highest and most remote borders is like extending the embrace of the nation to its farthest children. When a train whistles in Tawang or Leh, it is not just announcing arrival, it is declaring presence. is saying, this is India, and India is here to stay. Some might ask, what if China sees this as provocation? What if building railways so close to the border escalates tensions? The truth is, China has never asked our permission when it builds its own infrastructure right up to our doorstep. Deterrence is not provocation, it is protection. If anything, failing to build would be an invitation for encroachment. Strong infrastructure ensures that diplomacy is conducted from a position of strength, not weakness. In international relations, respect is earned not by words but by capability. Railways are capability, plain and simple. Looking to the future, one can imagine the transformation this investment will bring. 10 years from now, trains may be running daily services from Guwahati to Tawang, from Delhi to Lahu, from Gangtok to Siliguri, with seamless tunnels cutting through mountains that today look impenetrable. Border villages may thrive as new economic zones. Young people may choose to stay because opportunities exist at their doorstep. The army may rotate troops with efficiency, saving costs and lives. Tourists may flock to remote regions, enriching local cultures. And India as a nation may stand taller on the global stage, showing that democracy too can build marvels. That progress need not come at the expense of values. That determination can move mountains literally. As I draw towards conclusion, let me return to the soldier I spoke of at the beginning. For him, this is not about geopolitics or economics, it is about survival. It is about knowing that when he defends the tricolor in the freezing heights, his country has ensured that help, supplies, and reinforcements can reach him in time. It is about knowing that the nation he serves has not left him alone in the wilderness. And for the villager in Arunachal or Ladakh, it is about dignity, opportunity, and belonging. For the student, it is about education. For the farmer, about markets. For the entrepreneur, about possibility. This project, therefore, is not just about laying tracks of steel. 'Tis about laying tracks of hope, unity, and resilience. $3.4 billion is a large number, but what it buys us is priceless. Security, connectivity, opportunity, and pride. It is an investment in the future, in the safety of our borders, in the prosperity of our people, and in the strength of our nation. So the next time a train whistles through a Himalayan valley, remember, it is not just a train, it is India declaring to the world with courage and conviction. We are here, we are strong, and we are ready for the future.